Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now what we're going to do is take a look at HarmonyOne. This is just the technical charts. There's no fundamentals here. Feel free to include that in the description below if you have some insight on the recent price action, but more importantly, we always discuss that openly in my private Discord channel through my Patreon account, as well as in my Telegram community. So feel free to get engaged with that if you'd like. Links are in the description below. There's also $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager if you'd like to, kind of benefit from that if you haven't already. Furthermore, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research. I have years of trading experience, but I just want to make sure that we help educate you on best practice, possibly good entry points, but more so just being a responsible trader. I think that cryptocurrency is lacking that nowadays. I think it's really important to be smart and be wise. Either way, you'll hear me rant about that likely here soon. Thank you so much for joining me here. We'll go ahead and check it out. Let's get to the video. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at HarmonyOne. And I'll be interested to check this one out because it's been a little while since I reviewed it last. And it's always been one that I've been invested in since, I think, 8 or 9 cents. So I really want to see it take off, but honestly, it's hard to say. It's slightly frustrating, kind of like H-bar. Such high hopes, but it consistently will never cease to amaze you, right? Both good or bad, however you look at it, doesn't matter. We'll go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, kind of get a baseline of what's going on in the overall market, kind of see how they correlate, see if they run together, so to speak, and just overall try to pick up on that first before we move on to it, just so we get a big perspective, big picture on what's going on. And then we'll look at the 1-day chart, 4-hour, 15-minute, 1 minute, kind of work our way down so we can really understand wholeheartedly what's going on with HarmonyOne. First of all, this is Bitcoin here, and just to note, we are, the price is just sold off a little bit, but not terrible. We're at about 48,300, and there's a support level right approximately 47,800. So we've got some good support down here. Of course, it's been tested multiple times. I think we're still okay, but unfortunately, Bitcoin is still kind of doing its thing right now. It makes sense after the news of Tesla no longer accepting Bitcoin. So that really sent things off. We went from 58,000, down to 48,000 in a matter of 8 hours. So I think we were all aware of that because we saw our wallets just deflate all at once. But regardless of that fact, the support levels are really, there's only one support. There's 3 major resistance levels and 3 major moving averages that we need to get through. So all the MAs are hovering right around 54 to 56,000. There's a previous support level of 53,300, now resistance. And the very top here is 59,500 roughly. That was tested about 4 or 5 times. So we can somehow get back up there. I think it should break through to 60, no problem. But we still have to break through 57,000, which was a major support and resistance level for a while. So I personally don't love what Bitcoin's been doing lately. It's very frustrating. But it's nice to see other coins that are bouncing back and doing well outside of what's going on with Bitcoin. So that is what's going on there with Bitcoin. Now let's go ahead and move on to Ethereum. Now we can say the same thing for Ethereum here too. There's been a state of indecision here ever since the market sell-off. Honestly, what's unique is usually Ethereum is the go-to for most people when Bitcoin sells off. I've seen a shift in that recently. It seems like ADA is the new Ethereum, because it's a 3rd or 4th largest market cap, right? I think it's very huge. So that being said, Ethereum isn't really performing as well as we're used to, because usually the price increases pretty significantly for Ethereum once Bitcoin sells off. And right now we're seeing just kind of a very similar, almost mirror pattern to what Bitcoin's doing. It's essentially performing the same. It's neither good nor bad, it just is what it is. It's kind of more neutral. But bear in mind, the 50-day moving average was just broken, working as a potential resistance level, so price is right about 38.20. But that makes sense, the price is going down because Bitcoin price just went down as well. So that is Ethereum. Now let's go ahead and take a look at HarmonyOne. Let's go ahead and turn on the moving averages here. And we're going to just take a look at the 1-day chart first, as per usual, and then work our way down. And just something to note, the 50-day moving average is working as a resistance level. That's this yellow line here. And what that basically tells us is just that the price will need to break above and stay above in order to have it continue to work as a support. Good news is the 100-day moving average is working as a support level. It's been tested twice in the past, I guess you could say, well, it's almost a month, that's about 3 weeks. So that is a potential support level. So in other words, the average for the last 100 days is essentially telling us the price should be close to about 10 cents. Okay. Currently the price is roughly at about 13 cents, 13.5 cents, which is neither, again, good nor bad, but unfortunately it's been really just kind of, obviously, as you can see here, with the major Bitcoin sell-off, it was majorly impacted, but it did ramp back up, and now it's getting an influence. So I'd be pretty safe to say that Bitcoin and HarmonyOne work very similar. They're very synonymous with each other because of the fact that, what is it, here it is, 17th is the first major sell-off from Bitcoin, 22nd was the second, that's this guy right here, and then the third major sell-off from Bitcoin was right here, and then the price was just too low that it had to come back up. And of course we had the state of indecision from Bitcoin and the major sell-off again. So even though it's reliant on Bitcoin doing well, it can still move independently of it if the price is too low. So this tells us the average true range should be somewhere in the range of 13 to 16 cents. So I think it's trying to find its range here in this channel here. So I'd venture to guess that we probably see some period of consolidation, again, between just say maybe in the range of 12 to 16 cents, and then eventually a breakout once the moving averages catch up. Again, just my thoughts there. You could say that's my tentative prediction. I try not to give those because honestly, it could change at a moment's notice, but it does respond to Bitcoin's movement, but it also bounces back fairly quick once it's been beaten down enough. In other words, the price was too high here at one point. It should have been lower because it went up way too fast, and now it's kind of leveling itself out. So I think it's all in all a good sign. I think HarmonyOne is approaching its average true range, so we should expect probably 13 to 16 cents in the next month or so. Down below here, we look at the RSI. It's coming back up, but it's still well under 70. It's not a big deal. MACD is almost level. It is swinging upwards, sort of, so that does kind of indicate potential for a good entry point for a long-term swing position, but I don't put a lot of weight into the MACD on the one-day chart. Same with the RSI. Really, the only thing that's important on the one-day chart is the moving averages, and they're still not really telling us a ton at this point. So that being said, that's kind of where we're at there for HarmonyOne. Looking at the 4-hour chart, this is where the moving averages, RSI, MACD all matter the most. I feel it carries the most weight. We can disseminate the most information from them. That's why I like to look at the 1-day and the 4-hour chart first before we look at the 15 or the 1 minute, because it really helps us get perspective on what's truly going on. So we look down here at the RSI. First of all, RSI is coming back down again because we have this retracement with the price moving up so quickly. And by the way, in the last 16 hours, HarmonyOne increased by 31%, approximately. So that's pretty significant, right? It's a big movement when you think about it, because it was only at 10, 11 cents at the time. So that being said, no surprise the retracement is happening. Keep in mind the RSI doesn't always have to be over 70 for a retracement to occur. Likely on the 15-minute chart we'll see that be much higher, but that's kind of what's going on here. Other than that, also the MACD has swung upwards. Obviously when we had that forward momentum and it's coming up, it's almost peaking out. So there's likelihood of a consolidation to occur here soon. And I think if we look here too, it looks like there's a pretty consistent resistance level here, right at about 15 cents plus or minus. So roughly 15 cents I would say is a new potential resistance level that we need to break through and stay above in order to essentially be able to see the price increase. But again, I wouldn't expect HarmonyOne. I feel like HarmonyOne is going to move along the 100-day moving average on a 1-day chart more consistently. So I do think that this will be a slow grower, but it will eventually grow somewhere in the range of 3 to 4 cents in a couple more months. But for now, that's kind of the current tentative resistance level. And as you can see, we see this large increase in volume, and that just kind of shows us what's going on there. Another thing too to note is the hold on, let me see if there's any support. Get that 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll mark this guy here as a support too. Roughly at about, may as well just round up and say 10 cents. Now this doesn't matter that it goes through all this here, because this was a Bitcoin sell-off and the ramp back. So even though there's a variance below the support level, this is a pretty strong support because it's been tested twice and was rejected. So we're in good shape there. So anywhere between 10 cents and 15 cents is essentially going to see this channel likely forming. It should kind of, I would hope to see it kind of wedge up and then break out, but it's too early to tell. So that's kind of what was going on the 4-hour chart. Let's look at the 50 and see what's going on. And this is no surprise because Bitcoin just had its sell-off, plus there's a normal retracement, right? Because look at this here. Really chill volume for hours, even days. Then out of nowhere, decides to ramp up, maxed out volume, and of course the RSI bumps up over 70, and then we see this retracement here. So this never surprised me when I see the price come down when it comes up that quickly. Usually it splits the difference, so if that was just say 100% increase, it's going to come down 50%, right? So let's see here. So right at, what that was a 24% increase. So we should see the price average out right around 13.5, right where it's at. I'd be surprised if it goes much lower, but it should continue to kind of work itself into this 13.5 channel, which is exactly between 10 and 15, 10 and 16 cents, right? So I think we're in good shape there. RSI is coming down pretty good. If the RSI comes down too low, under 30, then we'll see it bounce back up. And you'll see this here as well. If you see this 30 line right here for the RSI, it's not only did it bounce off there, but it basically went too low. And when it goes too low under 30, you'll see a reverse retracement, if you will. It comes back up and it jumps up again because the price is driven down so low that it's considered oversold, and people decide to invest because it's a good value. Okay, so right now at this point, it's kind of again figuring out its true range, but I'd be very, very safe to say it's going to hover around the 13.5 range for a while, plus or minus a couple cents, of course, but that's the general consensus there. And you can see here as well. Again, I don't put a lot of value into the 15-minute chart on the MACD, but the price is coming down. So in other words, we're losing momentum, makes sense, retracement's occurring. So I think that we're going to see it bounce off a little bit. And why don't we go ahead and take a look at that here, because I don't use the 50, 100-day and 200-day moving averages, the simple moving averages on the 15-minute chart. And the main reason why is because it's too large of a time frame, right? You need to have a smaller time frame. So I use the exponential moving average, the EMA 15. We'll see that we lost EMA, and also the volume weighted average price. So the VWAP, if you're new, the VWAP is a volume weighted average price that basically tells us the average volume in the last 24 hours expressed as a consistent price. So the VWAP is telling us the price should be at about 13.5. Okay, and if you can see here, the VWAP is getting tested. Price is coming down. If it doesn't bounce off and reject and come back up, then we'll likely see further downward momentum, and we're going to have we're going to lose VWAP essentially, and we'll have to see if it bounces off any other support levels. Okay. Now looking up here at the EMA line, just something to note. The EMA, I use the EMA 15, right? So instead of a 9 or 20, which is kind of the default you'll see on a lot of different programs, I use the 15, and it splits the difference. It works a little bit better that way. So when we see the price come under the EMA line, that tells us it's bearish sentiment, and we're losing it, right? Sorry for the dog barking. I can't do much about that right now. But below that, if you look here, just as an example, right, when we see the price come up over VWAP, it comes up and it stays above the EMA line, right? And it stays above the entire time. It dipped down a little bit here, but then it ramped right back up. So commonly when you see the EMA line getting tested and holding, that's a sure sign to consider taking entry. Okay, and usually I express interest in confirmation. And when you see confirmation, what that is, that's basically confirming your price stays above your support level for more than 30 minutes. In other words, 2 solid green bars. So if you see my videos before, you'd understand what I mean by that. So this is an example of confirmation, right? Price comes down, bounces off VWAP, loses EMA for a moment, but it comes back up. But it was already testing and holding above EMA, so we're still in good shape. But if we look at this, we see these 2 15-minute green bars, these 2 guys. That basically tells us that's confirmation. So to me, to take entry, I usually wait for 2 15-minute green bars to see, and likely in this scenario, I would have taken entry right there, because again, it also broke that previous all-time high right there, and it continued upwards. So this is a good example of what confirmation would look like, both above EMA and VWAP. So if you were to kind of continue that example, what you see right here right now, this would be chasing the bottom. This is what they call chasing the bottom. So never take entry in the scenario right now that you see, because of the fact that the price hasn't found its true bottom yet, and the EMA and the VWAP haven't had time to catch up. So unless you're planning to short, right, unless you're planning to short this currency right now. There's no reason to take entry at this point because we lost the VWAP line and the EMA is traveling under. Now it could bounce off right here, which is likely, and just say it stays above and continues to close, 3 or 4 more, red and green bars here, then we're going to see a period of consolidation. But once you see 2 solid green bars above the VWAP line that are closing actually above it, preferably above the EMA line as well, then that would be a good consideration to take entry. Okay, so that's usually how I approach it. That's how I look at it on the 15-minute chart. The 1-minute chart is a little different, but it can work effectively the same. In other words, you take the same theory, the same concept of waiting for the price to be above VWAP and the EMA, but instead you wait for at least 3 solid green bars. In other words, if you see here, there's no example here that would cause that, right? Now this is an EMA right here, right? For example, the price is above EMA and it's above VWAP, so normally you think, oh, that's a good entry point, right? Because there are 3 solid green bars. However, if the price comes up, this is why you take small positions. If the price comes up, comes down, and loses EMA, as soon as it loses EMA, you get out of your position. So in other words, the best time to take entry, it wouldn't be the first time EMA is tested. It'd be the second time EMA is tested. Let me give you an example if I can. So just say, for example, here, right? You're coming down here and you see these 2 solid green bars, or sorry, the 3 solid green bars in the 1-minute chart. And you're like, I want to take entry. Not the best example because the fact that the price hasn't come back down and been tested a second time. In other words, this is the very first time the EMA line was crossed, so it's not a true confirmation. True confirmation is waiting for the EMA line to be tested multiple times and then take entry after. So this would be a much better entry point right here because the fact that you waited for the price to stay above the EMA and be tested a couple times, right? Because if you see up here, it comes up and then it tests the EMA line and stays above and it continues. See? Testing again, testing EMA, test the EMA. That tells you you're in a bullish trend, a bullish momentum. So best time to take entry, of course, isn't the ground floor because you're chasing the bottom still, right? It's to take entry once the price starts to increase and gives you that confirmation, that secondary confirmation right here that the price is holding above the EMA line. Okay. So again, just try to consider that, try to think about that. It's really easy to want to just jump right in, like right here, for example, just say the price comes up over EMA and holds for 3 solid 15-minute green, or 3 solid 1-minute green bars rather. Then what you'd do is you'd want to wait further. That'd be a bad entry point because again, it'd be the same thing as trying to take entry right here, right? Okay, great, I got my green bars, I'm good. It's over VWAP and EMA. No, you're not good. The reason why is because it hasn't tested it twice. You need 2 confirmations when you're using the 1-minute chart. In my personal opinion, that works the best for me because it's so frequent to want to just get in and jump into a chart like this, to a time frame like this, and to immediately lose VWAP and EMA and it goes back down on you. Then you have to sell and re-enter your position, you're out a little bit. Again, if you didn't go all in, you're okay because you only lost a small amount, and that's fine. You can take small losses. But taking the large losses is difficult and it's not a good pill to swallow. So first of all, never take full entry points. If you have $1,000, I always use this example, only invest $200 to $300 at a time. And as you get confirmation, which we saw back here, you get these extra little levels of confirmation here, here, here. You add to your position. Okay? And once you get closer to the top, when the RSI is over 70, then you start selling your position. Okay? Furthermore, when it comes to investing, I think I reiterate this multiple times, and I just briefly touched on it, but if you ever go all in, you're going to run into a situation where you start having like these super big losses that are just terrible, and we hate them. And it's tough because when you face significant losses, it can be hard to recover from that. And then you start getting this this feeling like you got to get back in, you got to make up what you lost. So the way I see it is, if you invest less and you lose less, you're in a much better position. Yes, you don't gain as much, but you should only ever be shooting for a 2-to-1 ratio, right? Your risk to reward ratio should be 2-to-1. So if you're just only losing 1% at a time here and there, and it's a small position, all good. But if you're gaining 2% and you're adding to your position, as you get confirmation, that 2 can become a 4, a 6, an 8, and you get much more growth out of that. Try not to listen to these other crazy hypers that are telling you that this is going to 10x, 20x, you're going to shoot to the effing moon, right? That is crazy, that's terrible, that's nonsense. It can happen, yes, you'll get lucky sometimes. So it doesn't hurt to just have a portfolio of just, a few $100s here, a few dollars there on things you want to invest in that you don't care about losing your money. Let that ride, let that go to the moon or whatever they say. But if you are planning to do a short-term swing trade, or you're planning to do a day trade, you have to have structure, you have to have confirmation, and without it, you're just going to keep gambling and losing. The house always wins if you gamble. This isn't gambling, this is trading. If you trade effectively, you trade smart, you'll be just fine and you'll be okay. So that's why I try to get across. So if you have an opportunity to join my Telegram community, we all communicate openly regarding this. I also have a private Discord chat channel on my Patreon account as well. If you'd like to contribute, show your support, but more importantly, learn from those of us that are very serious about this and help understand how to be a better trader. It's all about good practice. It's all about being smart and being clear-minded too. If you can exercise and eat right, even better. Okay. Again, just some extra little things that kind of come along with it that nobody really thinks about, nobody talks about. And I want to change that sentiment, because if we can all be smarter, more effective traders, we're going to be in much better shape, right? So again, feel free to reference that on your own time. Links are in the description below. But for now, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. You're a trooper. Really appreciate you. And if you're a return subscriber, thank you so much for all of your contributions and helping me grow this channel. It's been an amazing ride so far, and it's just the beginning. I'm looking forward to growing with you all. Thank you so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.